I am Learning Hub.
Hello, I'm Miss Yuyu, and welcome to the I Am Learning Hub. Now, today we're going to be looking at LCM, which is the lowest common multiple. Now, if you're struggling to know the difference between factors and multiples, I have a previous video in which I broke down and explained the difference between multiples and factors, so do well to check that out. Today we're going to be looking at LCM. I'm going to be showing you two very simple and cool ways to find LCM of any given numbers. So let's do the first method. Find the LCM of 12 and 15. What is the lowest common multiple for 12 and 15? Now we're going to be using the method 1 to solve this, and then we'll use the second method to solve this question. First method to solve this is our listing method. You look for the lowest number that can divide either 12 or 15. Now, please note, that number doesn't have to be able to divide both 12 and 15. It should be able to divide at least one of those numbers, and it shouldn't be 1. So what is the lowest number aside from 1 that can divide either 12 or 15? 2. Right. Now let's divide by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now, 15 cannot be divided by 2 without a remainder. So we just bring down 15 as it is. Don't touch it. So 15. And what's the lowest number again that can divide 6 or 15? 2 again. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 15 still cannot be divided by 2 without a remainder. So you bring it down. Now, what's the least number that can divide either 3 or 15? Now, 2 cannot go in any of these numbers, so we move to 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now, I have 1 and I have 5 here, but you want to be able to keep dividing until what you have at the bottom is just 1 and 1. So what number can I use to divide 5 that would give me 1? And the number is 5. We're done with this, so you just bring your 1 down. 5 divided by 5 is 1. At this point, we are absolutely done. So we list out these numbers. So the LCM of 12 and 15 is equal to 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. All right? Let's do it together. 2 times 2 is 4. Good. 4 times 3 is 12. And then 12 times 5 is exactly 60. So the LCM of 12 and 15 is 60. Now, this is the very first method for finding LCM. Very straightforward, very simple. Now, let's move to the second method. Now, let's use the second method to find the LCM of 12 and 15. For the next method, we have to list out the multiples of 12 and list them out to 12 times 5. So 12 times 1 is 12, times 2 is 24, times 3 is 36, times 4 is 48, and times 5 is 60. Now, let's do the same for 15. 15, multiples of 15 are, we start with 15 times 1 times 2 is 30, times 3 is 45, times 4 is 60, times 5 is 75, right? Now, looking at these two numbers, we have just one common multiple. Our common multiple is 60, and it is also our lowest common multiple. So this is the second way that you can find the LCM of two numbers. Now let's try it using another set of numbers. Okay? Now let's look at another set of numbers. So let's find the LCM of 3 and 6. 3 and 6. So we'll use this method first. 3 and 6. What is the lowest number that can divide either 3 or 6? Remember I said that number doesn't have to divide both of them. It just has to divide at least one of them, and that is 2. So 3 cannot be divided by 2 without a remainder. What I tell you that we're going to do, we're just going to bring it down and leave it as it is. So that's going to be 3. 6 divided by 2 is also 3. Now I have 3 and 3, and obviously, aside from 1, the other number that can divide 3 is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So my LCM is equal to 2 times 3. You multiply these numbers, which is equal to what? 6. Beautiful. Now let's move to the second method. Let's list out the multiples of 3. So remember, your multiples are when you multiply that number by 1, 2, and going forward like that. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Now let's list multiples of 6. 6, we have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 36. Now we've listed out multiples. Now let's look. Are there common multiples? Common multiples are multiples that can be found among the multiples of 3 and among the multiples of 6. I see a few, and I'm sure you do too. So I see 6, I see 12, I also see 18. So what we do now is we list our common multiples. So all the common multiples that we have found after listing are 6, 12, and 18. The next thing that we're going to write out is what our lowest common multiple is. Our lowest common multiple is just the least out of all the common multiples that we found, and that is 6. So the LCM of 3 and 6, whether you're using this method or this method, is 6. And that's our LCM for you. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is finding the highest common factors. And today I'm going to be showing you 2 very easy ways of finding the highest common factor between 2 or 3 numbers. Let's start with the numbers 8 and 10. Let's use method 1. Method 1 is 8, 10. Now, in this method, you have to find the lowest number that can divide both 8 and 10. Now, this is the difference between HCF and LCM. In your LCM method, that number has to divide at least one of the 2 numbers. But in your HCF, the number you're picking must be able to divide the 2 numbers you're working with. Today, the 2 numbers that we're working with are 8 and 10. So we need to find a number that can divide both 8 and 10. And that number is what? 2. We're starting with the lowest one. 2 divided by 8 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now we're left with 4 and 5. There is no number aside from 1 that can divide both 4 and 5 without a remainder. So this is the end of your highest common factor. So your highest common factor between 8 and 10 is 2. Unlike your LCM, where you need to work it out till you have 1 at the bottom, in your HCF, when you cannot find a number that can divide both of them without a remainder, you stop. So the highest common factor of 8 and 10 is 2. Now let me show you the second method. In the second method, we're going to have to list out all the factors of 8 and all the factors of 10. Then we find the common factors and then the highest of those common factors. Factors of 8 are 1 times 8, 2 times 4. So the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Now let's list the factors for 10. 10 is 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. So my factors for 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. The common factor is 2. That's the only common factor between the both of them, and it also happens to be our highest common factor. Now, the next two numbers that we're going to be looking at are 20 and 30. So we're going to be using the two methods that we just learned to find the HCF of 20 and 30. So 20 and 30. Now, what is the lowest number that can divide 20 and 30? 2. Good. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Now, what is the next number that can divide both 10 and 15? Now, 2 can divide 10, but cannot divide 15 without a remainder. 3 can divide 15, but cannot divide 10 without a remainder. So we're going to try 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now, 2 and 3 cannot be divided by any number aside from 1. And 1, we don't use 1 when we're doing HCF. So the HCF of 20 and 30 is 2 times 5, which is equal to what? 10. So that is the first method for finding HCF. Now let's try the second method. The second method is the one in which we list out all the factors. So let's list out the factors of 20. 20 is 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 3 is not part of it, and then 4 times 5. So after 4 is 5, and it's already here, so we're done. There are no more factors. So the factors of 20 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. Now let's list the factors for 30. 30 is 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10. 4 is not going to go in there, but 5 times 6. So the factors for 30 are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. Now look at these two sets of factors. Let's pick out the common factors. So the common factors are the factors that appear here and also appear here. So we have 2, we have 5, and we have 10. So my common factors are 2, 5, and 10. But my highest common factor of all my common factors, the highest of them is 10. So whether you use this method or this method, the HCF of 20 and 30 is 10. So use whichever one works best for you. And that's it for HCF.
I am learning with I am Learning Hub.